For decades, the footballing world knew José Mourinho as the special one, a manager defined by relentless tactical brilliance, sharp mind games, and an uncompromising drive to win at all costs. Standing on the touchline in his tailored coat, he appeared almost superhuman, a master strategist who could control every movement on the pitch. But time has a quiet way of softening even the fiercest competitors. Today, at 71 years old, sitting far away from the blinding stadium lights, heavy rain, and chaotic press conferences, Mourinho looks back on a long lifetime spent inside the beautiful game. Across hundreds of intense matches, dozens of silverware trophies, and endless rivalries against the greatest managers in history, only 5 players earned his ultimate, silent admiration. They were not simply gifted athletes with incredible natural technique. They were the rare souls who matched his psychological intensity, carried his tactical vision onto the pitch, and shaped his deep understanding of loyalty and devotion. What made these 5 specific individuals stand out to a man who demanded absolute perfection? To find the answer, we must look beyond the goals, the highlight reels, and the glittering trophies to discover the shared spirit that defined their legendary journeys together. To understand the specific players José Mourinho admired most, one must first understand the heavy emotional burden he carried throughout his managerial career. From his very first day in top-flight football, Mourinho deliberately constructed a protective shell around his teams. He would walk into press conferences and make bold, provocative statements, taking all the media criticism and public pressure onto his own shoulders. By making himself the villain, he freed his players to play without fear. But behind closed doors, away from the public gaze, Mourinho was a deeply observational tactician who looked for something far beyond raw physical talent. He searched for rare human beings who possessed emotional resilience, total unselfishness, and an absolute hatred of losing. In the chaotic world of elite football, genuine trust between a manager and a player is remarkably rare. Most modern players naturally calculate their personal success, thinking about individual awards, contract extensions, and personal highlights. But a tiny select few are willing to completely surrender their own ego for the collective objective of the squad. As Mourinho reflects on his earliest days winning top-level trophies with FC Porto, he remembers the exact moment he realized that talent alone would never win his deepest respect. He needed men who shared his fiery inner spirit and quiet determination. It was during those early, formative years in Portugal that he met a soft-spoken defender named Ricardo Carvalho. Carvalho was small for a central defender, lacking the towering height of traditional defenders. Yet his incredible reading of the game and willingness to throw his body into dangerous tackles set a new standard for Mourinho's defensive philosophy. Carvalho became the foundational blueprint for every team Mourinho would ever build. But how did this quiet defender earn Mourinho's ultimate trust? And what did he do during a high-stakes European final that cemented their lifelong bond? To understand the specific players José Mourinho admired most, one must first understand the heavy emotional burden he carried throughout his managerial career. From his very first day in top-flight football, Mourinho deliberately constructed a protective shell around his teams. He would walk into press conferences and make bold, provocative statements, taking all the media criticism and public pressure onto his own shoulders. By making himself the villain, he freed his players to play without fear. But behind closed doors, away from the public gaze, Mourinho was a deeply observational tactician who looked for something far beyond raw physical talent. He searched for rare human beings who possessed emotional resilience, total unselfishness, and an absolute hatred of losing. In the chaotic world of elite football, genuine trust between a manager and a player is remarkably rare. Most modern players naturally calculate their personal success, thinking about individual awards, contract extensions, and personal highlights. But a tiny select few are willing to completely surrender their own ego for the collective objective of the squad. As Mourinho reflects on his earliest days winning top-level trophies with FC Porto, he remembers the exact moment he realized that talent alone would never win his deepest respect. He needed men who shared his fiery inner spirit and quiet determination. It was during those early, formative years in Portugal that he met a soft-spoken defender named Ricardo Carvalho. Carvalho was small for a central defender, lacking the towering height of traditional defenders. Yet his incredible reading of the game and willingness to throw his body into dangerous tackles set a new standard for Mourinho's defensive philosophy. Carvalho became the foundational blueprint for every team Mourinho would ever build. But how did this quiet defender earn Mourinho's ultimate trust? And what did he do during a high-stakes European final that cemented their lifelong bond? When José Mourinho arrived in English football in 2004, he walked into a league dominated by legendary managers and physical squads. To conquer this new environment, he required a midfielder who could match the relentless pace and physical intensity of the English game. He found that leader in Frank Lampard. At first glance, Lampard was a highly skilled midfielder, but Mourinho quickly realized that his real superpower was an unmatched work ethic that bordered on absolute obsession. Day after day, while other players rushed home after training sessions, Lampard stayed behind on the cold practice pitches, practicing his long-range shooting, passing accuracy, and physical endurance until the sun went down. On match days, Lampard possessed an uncanny ability to run box-to-box for 90 full minutes, arriving in the opponent's penalty area at the exact right microsecond to score crucial, game-winning goals. What fascinated Mourinho most was Lampard's complete refusal to accept defeat under any circumstances. Even when the team fell behind, Lampard's physical output and determination seemed to increase, lifting the confidence of every player around him through sheer force of personality. Mourinho viewed Lampard not simply as a squad member, but as a direct extension of his own tactical mind on the field. Their mutual respect grew through late-night phone calls, intense tactical discussions, and shared standards of performance that few other professionals could comprehend. Lampard carried Mourinho's tactical commands into battle with absolute perfection, becoming the ultimate engine of Chelsea's historic championship-winning era. But even the most relentless midfield engine needed a ruthless leader up front, a striker who could single-handedly carry the emotional weight of a massive football club. When José Mourinho insisted on signing Didier Drogba in the summer of 2004, critics and media outlets questioned the decision, doubting whether a forward from the French league could handle the immense pressure of English football. Mourinho personally assured the club's board that Drogba was a unique leader who would define a generation. History quickly proved the manager right. Drogba was much more than a powerful striker. He was a big-game warrior who elevated his performance whenever the stakes were highest. In cup finals and high-tension knockout matches, Drogba transformed into an unstoppable force of nature. Opposing defenders feared his physical power, aerial dominance, and sharp football intelligence. But beyond his imposing presence lay a deeply sensitive human being who cared immensely about his teammates, his supporters, and the people of his home nation. Mourinho built an extraordinarily deep personal connection with Drogba, acting as both a demanding coach and a trusted mentor figure. During critical moments when the team faced intense adversity, Drogba would look his manager in the eyes and promise victory, often scoring iconic goals in the final minutes of crucial matches. Mourinho admired Drogba's rare ability to channel pressure into performance. He was a player who never hid behind excuses when the team failed, taking full responsibility for results and protecting younger teammates from harsh criticism. Drogba embodied the exact warrior spirit that Mourinho demanded, proving that true leadership requires emotional courage just as much as physical skill. Winning in England established Mourinho's legendary status, but his next journey to Italy would require a captain who represented absolute tactical discipline in a foreign land. Arriving in Italian football presented José Mourinho with complex tactical challenges and an intensely demanding media environment. To achieve success with Inter Milan, he needed a club captain who could unite a dressing room filled with international stars from across the globe. He found the ultimate partner in Javier Zanetti. Zanetti was already a club legend when Mourinho arrived, but their working relationship quickly elevated Zanetti's legacy to even greater heights. Zanetti was the absolute definition of professional discipline. Having played hundreds of top-tier matches, he treated every single morning training session as if it were a cup final. Mourinho was amazed by Zanetti's incredible physical consistency and mental toughness. Regardless of fatigue, age, or nagging injuries, the captain's performance level never dipped below excellence. Zanetti led not through loud speeches or dramatic gestures, but through faultless personal example. He maintained order in the dressing room, ensuring every new player respected the club's history and followed Mourinho's tactical guidelines down to the smallest detail. During their historic treble-winning season, Zanetti played multiple positions, from fullback to central midfield, without a single word of complaint, sacrificing his personal preferences for the success of the team. For Mourinho, Zanetti represented the ultimate professional ideal, an athlete who approached his craft with profound humility, total dedication, and deep respect for the game. With four remarkable leaders guiding his greatest teams, who was the final player? A global superstar whose incredible individual talent once threatened to clash with Mourinho's structured tactical discipline. The final player on José Mourinho's list is a generational talent whose relentless quest for greatness mirrored his manager's inner drive, Cristiano Ronaldo. When Mourinho arrived at Real Madrid, public commentators wondered if two such powerful, intense personalities could coexist within the same dressing room without constant conflict. However, their shared obsession with victory quickly forged a powerful, historic partnership on the pitch. Mourinho realized that beneath Ronaldo's global stardom and public image was an incredibly disciplined athlete with an insatiable hunger for continuous self-improvement. Ronaldo pushed his body and mind to absolute limits every single day, scoring goals at a historic rate and refusing to rest even after breaking records. Mourinho deeply respected Ronaldo's willingness to adapt his positioning to maximize the team's counter-attacking speed, turning Real Madrid into one of the most lethal offensive units in football history. Together, they challenged one of the greatest rival teams in history, breaking points records and capturing an iconic league title. Their relationship was demanding and intense, but it was built on mutual recognition of elite competence. Mourinho recognized that Ronaldo's genius was not just a natural gift from birth, but the direct result of unyielding daily sacrifice, mental toughness, and a total refusal to settle for second place. As Mourinho finishes reflecting on these five extraordinary individuals, one final, profound question remains about the true nature of his famous career. At 71 years old, looking back over a long career defined by intense tactical battles, unforgettable press conferences, and endless headlines, José Mourinho sees these five players not merely as tactical instruments he used to win games, but as the true co-authors of his life's legacy. Shiny metallic trophies eventually collect dust in club cabinets, and statistical records are broken by future generations. But the deep emotional bonds forged in player tunnels, locker rooms, and rain-soaked stadiums remain unbroken. What united Ricardo Carvalho, Frank Lampard, Didier Drogba, Javier Zanetti, and Cristiano Ronaldo was not merely their world-class technique on the ball, but an unyielding strength of character. They were individuals who possessed the rare ability to perform under extreme pressure, sacrifice their own personal comfort for their teammates, and honor the values of loyalty and discipline. They showed an ambitious manager what is possible when raw human talent aligns with absolute devotion to a shared purpose. Mourinho's journey teaches us that true greatness in any field is rarely achieved in isolation. It is built through deep trust, mutual respect, and shared sacrifice. As you reflect on the remarkable journeys of these football icons and the master manager who guided them, which quality do you believe matters most in defining a true sporting leader? Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below, and consider what true dedication means in your own life's journey.